Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today at Your Overseas Home virtual event. My name is Ryan Timms, and I'm one of the hosts for today's event. For this session, I'll be joined by George, who is representing Elxis, who will be sharing his insights into what the property market looks like in Greece. It's great to have so many of you here with us today, whether you're watching live or on demand. This event is designed to support overseas buyers, provide guidance, and give you the opportunity to get your burning questions answered. Once George has shared his presentation, there will be we'll open up the floor to live questions. If you have any as you go along, please type your questions into the Q&A area below on the bottom of your screen, and I can ask them on your behalf. We hope to answer as many queries today as we can, but if we don't get round to answering all of them, please don't worry, because George and his team will be available on the booth within the exhibition hall to answer any more questions that you have. So all the exhibitors today have a wealth of information, documents, and videos. You can also download their booths to help with your buying plans. So that's enough from me. Let's hear from our expert, George, who will, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your company and share your presentation, please?
Thank you very much. As said, my name is George Gavrilidis. I'm a lawyer in Greece. I started a company about 30 years ago. In the meantime, we have 7 lawyers, in-house lawyers who do the legal handling of buying second homes in Greece. And we also have a very big, extensive network with 3 offices, one in the Netherlands, one in Thessaloniki in northern Greece, and one in Crete, where we have the realtor, let's say, services. So with us, people have the opportunity to buy a house, to buy safely a house. And in Crete, we also have a rental company who does also the maintenance and cleaning, so people can buy a house and then have also a very nice return on investment. So as I said, as a lawyer, I give the seminars many times. I'll go through the basics so that people get a good idea of how, let's say, transaction takes place in Greece. Because on the internet, you will find many things which are not very accurate. So please, in Greece, you do need always a lawyer. I'll come to this during my presentation, but do not take for granted everything you see on the internet. The transaction is very clear, very safe, but on the internet there are many agents who try to attract clients, and sometimes they're not experts. So let's start the presentation. Why Greece? First, a couple of words of why Greece. Greece has it's a very attractive country with the biggest coastline of all Mediterranean. So the coast of Greece is bigger than Italy, France, Spain, and Portugal together. We have more than 6,000 islands. We have about 200 inhabited islands. You have it's a sailing paradise. You have, I mean, most of you have been in Greece and know what I'm talking about. But the biggest, one of the lowest criminality rates in the European Union. But the biggest attraction of Greece, why Greece, is the Greek hospitality. Now that's not just a selling trick. Greeks have hospitality deep in their genes. In old Greek, the classical times, we had 12 gods, and Aphrodite was the god of love, and Hermes the god of commerce. But the upper god, Zeus, was the god of the hospitality. The prices are very interesting, and I'll come to that in a while. Greece is really booming at this moment as a luxury destination. But the good thing is that now you can also find houses in Greece which are very affordable, in a very nice village with sea view, which is not the case in the rest of the other South European countries. A couple of things about the real estate agent if you want to buy a house in Greece. In the cities, you have real estate agents who act mostly for Greeks between themselves. So their service is not very extensive. They have, they show you, you have a viewing, but they're not keen or used to give extensive presentation of the rules of how a transaction goes. In the big cities, in Athens, you have some of the big international companies, but they have the highest part of the market. So the houses there, they start by 1 million, and on the most touristic islands, you have real estate agents who serve West European clients, who give more explanation. But again, here you have to be careful. You have to ask people who've been there, done that, because there are good and bad. There are many people in the islands, foreigners mostly, who bought themselves a house, and then with help of a real estate agent, they sort of intermediate for a friend, and then they start a real estate agency. But with them, if you ask them something, it takes 2 or 3 days to get an answer, and most of the times they don't speak Greek. So be a little bit careful with who you go such a service with. The commission, let's say the brokerage is free, so there's no standard. In the cities with a limited service offered by the city realtors, it's about 2% plus VAT. But in the most of the cases with second home houses, which offer much or require a much more extensive service and explanation, and it takes many days, and it takes a couple of trips most of the times, and video calls. The commission is 3% and sometimes 4%. It depends a little bit on the real estate agent and what services they use. That's why it's good when you have an engagement with the real estate agent, that you sign an order confirmation, which makes very clear what the commission of the realtor will be. This real estate work is always no cure, no pay. So don't pay any agents money if the transaction is not completed. The agent is getting paid after or during, simultaneously with the signing of the deed. And that's why it's good to have a clear description, a clear agreement about the payment. The price, as I said in the beginning, is of course something which depends on what we call in our business the 3 L's: location, location, and location. In the most touristic islands, in Mykonos and Santorini and Paros, the prices are quite high. Mykonos is not typical example for Greece. Mykonos is at this moment more expensive than Ibiza, for instance, in Spain. But generally, the price of the Greek real estate is still very low. You can find, we have houses, we offer houses in Crete with 2 bedrooms and an own swimming pool, freehold, which cost 250,000 euros, 300,000 euros, 400,000 euros. So if you compare Greece, let's say, to Italy, on the coast, the prices are double in Italy. In South France, it's 7-8 times more if you have comparable real estate. And in Spain, it's also very expensive, but in Spain, you have all the costas, which are fully built. You have high buildings, which is not allowed in Greece. In Greece, when you're outside the city limits of the village or the village limits, you have a very demanding limitation as of what you can build. The distance from the sea is also a very crucial factor, and also the connections, the flight connections. The property developers mostly don't bargain the prices, because the last years they had a very extensive increase of prices. So with them, when you negotiate, you're most likely to get something like extras, an extra outdoor kitchen, or air course, or something for the pool, but they don't really want to burn their fingers and ask and agree lower prices. When in the course of the years a private person is selling the house, there you have space for some negotiation, but because Greece is in such high demand, don't expect something very spectacular, mostly something like 5 to 10%. The notary and the lawyer are, let's say, we come now to the core of the transaction. A real estate, a house or a villa is always and only transferred by means of a notary deed. So all the private agreements you sign beforehand to give a down payment, they are, let's say, agreements between two private persons, but they are not, and I repeat once more, they are not the transfer deeds. It's always done by a notary deed. In Greece, you always have also the assistance of a lawyer. The lawyer does the land registry research before, helps the client with paying the taxes, and does also the land registry registration. The notary takes care of all the legal requirements. It's a public servant who takes care that everything that the law says is being implemented, but all, let's say, the work, the outside his office is done by a lawyer. So it's really crucial that you choose a lawyer with whom you can communicate, who explains everything and assists you throughout this procedure. So when we have a house and we agree a price, then the lawyer gets the ownership deeds, if it's a sale contract or something from an inheritance. And then we go as lawyers to the land registry. Only lawyers have access to the land registry. We go there, we do a thorough research, which goes at least 20 years back. And after that, we draw up a report signed and stamped by a lawyer, so you know that we've done properly our work. After that, the deed is signed, and the lawyer registers the deed to with the land registry. And if you do this in the way I explained it, then there's absolutely safe. One thing you have to know, and it's something that most people from the UK do not question. When you find a house and you through an agent, most of the agents who work with UK and foreign clients, they ask for a down payment of 10%. This is not obligatory by law. You can explain, you can agree whatever you want with the seller. And because, as I explained, the real estate is being transferred only by the notary deed, everything you sign and you pay before, you have to be cautious with. Most real estate agents ask 10% and they keep it themselves sometimes. This is not how it goes. And they also have clauses in their self-made agreements with clients, which say that if the client doesn't buy the real estate, loses the 10%, and if the seller don't sell, they will return it in double. This is something which is not legal. And I repeat, the law says that if you can, of course, agree something like this, but it has to have the same form as the main transaction. So if the main transaction of the house has to be through a notary deed. Then also the preliminary agreement with agreeing such clauses has to be also a notary deed. So everything that, let's say, these smart real estate agents demand from clients, they give them the illusion that they can get their money in double back, but if you go to the court, you don't get your money double. So be cautious when you buy a house of 1 million. I don't want my clients to pay 100,000 euros to somebody they don't know if that's a seller or a real estate agent. Be a little bit cautious with that. The transfer fees, let's have a look on the right side of the screen. In most of the cases, if it's an existing property or land or a new build, it's 3% for a transfer tax. Notary fees and land registry, it's about, let's say 2.3. So the total costs, excluding the agent fees, it's about 5.2. On the left side of my screen, you see the VAT. Up until 3 years ago, all new build had to have the VAT of 24%. And as you, of course, can understand, most of the people were not very happy when they had something like 400,000 euros for a house to pay another 100,000 euros just for VAT. So the Greek government, in order to encourage, let's say, building and selling new real estate, gives the opportunity to builders, to project developers, to also opt for the 3% transfer tax. So in most of the cases, everything, all prices you see on the internet, let's calculate 5% for the obligatory costs, and if you use a real estate agent, then a lawyer, about 4%. So the total costs of the transfer of real estate in Greece, as a general easy to remember rule, is 9%. When you want to build a house yourself, and I mean without the help of a real estate professional, like a project developer or a builder, you have to make a distinction between inside and outside the town plan. Inside the village or a city, you can build in something small, in 200 square meters, 300 square meters. But when you're just outside the building, let's say, plan of the city, you need 4,000 square meters in order to build only one house of 200 square meters. So that's done by the Greek government in order to protect the countryside. So you need 4,000 square meters just to build one house, which can never be more than 8 meters high. So that's why Greece has remained and is a country with very nice picturesque villages near the sea and the islands, because by law it's prohibited to build high buildings and to make, let's say, something which irrevocably destroyed the costs like in other countries. It's about something about the inheritance law. There's a European regulation, but unfortunately the UK has left the European Union. So after the Brexit, this does not, let's say, apply to as is to the UK citizens, but the Greek civil code says that in case of inheritance, the law is applied of the nationality of the deceased person. So if you are a citizen of the UK and you have real estate in Greece, you can either have a will in the UK, and so this will be automatically be realized in Greece. Or if you don't have a will, the Greek notary will look at your nationality. So if you're Greek, he will apply Greek law. But if you from the UK, he will apply UK law. So he will ask the proof of the people who inherit, and this will be done in Greece. the deed has to be in before a Greek notary, but who gets what is determined by UK law. So that was a brief presentation of the procedure of buying a house in Greece, and a couple of words about the golden visa rule. That's very interesting for UK citizens. When you buy real estate in Greece, you can stay in Greece as long as you possess real estate. Your children can also get the golden visa up to an age of 21, and they can go to school, and your parents also. So both spouses, they can have their children and parents get a visa in Greece. The minimum investment value for the most of the country is 250,000 euros. In the big cities, they just changed the law this year. They raised this threshold to 500,000. So Athens, Thessaloniki, and the two most expensive islands, Mykonos and Santorini, the threshold is 500,000. And they did it because in the big cities, the local population had a lot of problems because everybody was raising the price due to the high demand, and the local people could not buy houses. So they raised it for the cities, but most of the country it's 250, and you can have a co-ownership with let's say with your spouse, again with the exception of the big cities. You can have also you can travel. You can stay in Greece as long as you have it, and you can travel within the other European countries for 6 months a year. So that was in brief my presentation. And as I said in the beginning, Greece is a very, very attractive destination investment-wise at this moment, because it's also on the top 5 luxury destinations in the world at this moment. It's a very upcoming market. And I think that the prices, the next, let's say 5 years, will go up. I predict something like 10% a year, how it goes now. So let's have some questions if people want to.
Yeah, so we had a kind of an ongoing question from other seminars, and obviously mentioning the price drops in 2010, and then they started to rise, and then the pandemic hit. So if prices since the pandemic started to rise, and like you just mentioned, then is there an increase in the average of properties?
Yes, that's very definitely the case. I mean, Greece, up until, let's say, the financial crisis of 2010, 2012, was mostly a destination for people who like Greece, and they went to Greece and they wanted to buy, let's say, an average house with a nice swimming pool. But after that, we saw the last 5-6 years that Greece is, for all the reasons I mentioned in the beginning, Greece is chosen now by people who are very wealthy. During the pandemic, you saw a very big increase of demand and also the prices, and that's why I mean, it's due to the fact that people didn't want to travel along. I mean, people who would go to the Caribbean or Curacao or all these other, let's say, more remote destinations, they looked closer to house. And I mean, within a flight of 3.5 hours, you have an archipelago of 6,000 islands where, I mean, where you sail, you can come to an island with 2 inhabitants or 10 inhabitants. This is something which attracted many wealthy people, and that's something which, let's say, pulls the prices to rise. So, yeah, the prices are rising.
Nice,
but still very, very, very affordable.
Yeah, some great insight there. So we've had a few questions come through, actually. Yeah. So one of them is just about residence. So someone's just asked, what is the definition of habitual residence?
Oh, that's mostly that's let's say where you mostly you have your the majority of your social life, where you work, where you have your children, or you spend most of the time of the year. That's yeah, that's. But yeah, I mean, when you get a golden visa, only the fact of possessing the house gives you the right to have a residence permit. So yeah.
Okay. So we've also had another question come in from Craig. He's asking, is there still a VAT exception on new build, or has it ended? And following up, is there a 3.09% charge for new build properties?
Yes, that's exactly what I mentioned when I was going through the transfer course. It was, I mean, it was suspended. The VAT of 24% was suspended for 2 years, and after the beginning of this year, there's an extension, Craig, for another 2 years. So the question is yes. In most of the cases, the builders have the opportunity. They're not obliged to, but they have the opportunity to choose for the 3% transfer tax instead of VAT for another 2 years. Yeah.
Okay, so that's some great insight there. So we've also had a question from Robert. Are notaries and lawyers as eager to help with, say, a €30,000 purchase, for instance?
Yes, of course. But
Yeah.
they have. I mean, lawyers have a minimum charge. I mean, yeah. I mean, you do the same work. If a house is worth 300 or 30, I mean, the procedure is the same. So, I mean, if you take it in percentage of what it will cost you, of course, it will be proportionally higher. But of course, yeah.
Okay, so it's more fixed costs with lawyers and notaries rather than based on.
Mostly when it's under 100,000, they have a minimum fee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that's all the questions we have in the Q&A at the moment, but I've got some prepared as well, just as just as some basic questions that we've seen from other seminars. So when it comes to asking for property price, is it normal to offer below the asking price?
Yes, but as I said, with new projects, with new build projects, off-plan projects, the developers are not very keen on going down with the price. They would rather give you some extras which cost them less, but you would have to pay them anyway. When it's an existing house, you can, yeah, of course, you can start by offering a lower price, and then, yeah, I mean, see how the negotiation goes, as everywhere.
Okay. So obviously there's numerous islands in Greece. Presumably there are different markets on different islands. I know you mentioned earlier about one of them being what's it called?
Mykonos,
Santorini, and Santorini being pretty high priced. So what are the most popular islands now? And is that is it Santorini and Mykonos being the most popular islands? Is that why the prices have gone up?
No, it's because Santorini. It's because it's a unique geological phenomenon. I mean, with a volcano. So everybody, I mean, the scenery and the sunset of Santorini and the white blue houses. I mean, it's like a trademark for Greece. So everybody wants to see there, and the place is limited and very exclusive, let's say, in what people want to see. So that makes the prices there. I mean, when you want to buy a house with a view to the volcano and on the sunset in Santorini, you'll pay. And Mykonos is in more like a trend of the international jet set. You see all the bankers, all the Arab billionaires who go there. I mean, in Mykonos is you can have sometimes a bottle of champagne which costs 150,000 euros, one bottle of champagne.
I know, I've been once. It's beautiful, but it's expensive.
I mean, it's not Greece really. I mean, it's more like when you want to show off, and I mean all the expensive clothing and I mean, this is something else. But to come back to your question, the most wanted places, I mean, something like 40% of our clients go to Crete. because it has the best weather of Greece. It has very good prices. It's big. You're not. I've been to Crete more than 40 years now, and I haven't seen it all. I mean, it's 270 kilometers from west to east. The Ionian Islands for people who are sailing. So let's say Corfu, Lefkas, Kefalonia on the west side of Greece is also a very popular destination. The Cyclades, let's say the islands around Mykonos and Santorini, the smaller islands, and the southern part of mainland Greece, the Peloponnese, are the most, let's say, wanted and very affordable places to own a house.
Yeah. Okay. So we are struck for time, but we have one more question that's just coming from David. So he's asking about profitability on new builds. So he's asked, what would be expected for an uplift / profit after building your home to reside? Say the land costs 90,000 and then build a £1,600,000 property. Would it be fair to expect the end valuation of 300,000?
I don't get exactly the question.
So he's asking. So if you put £90,000 into the land, and they build a property at 160,000, would you think it would be fair to expect the end valuation of £300,000 or euros?
The end valuation, you mean
that's all he's put. I'm guessing that's just the overall value of the property.
So you buy the land and then you build something for 160,000 yourself, and what would be the price, let's say the price of the end product, let's say of your house with I think the off-plan, I mean, a very, very easy way to calculate things is also when you get something from a developer, the off-plan price with the ready price of a house has a difference of about 20%. So if you add 20% on that, let's say his added value would be, but I mean, this is a specific case, so because it needs a bit more explanation.
Got you. Okay, no, that makes sense. So the markup on properties, you expect a 20% increase on whatever you kind of spend. Okay.
Yeah,
that makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've run slightly over time for today. So thank you very much, George, for your session today, and your knowledge, and to all of our listeners that have kind of interacted with us today as well. We strongly recommend you get in touch with George after the show. His booth will be available on our exhibition hall. You can reach them and ask them as many questions as you want. Thank you again for your time, and thank you and happy property hunting to anyone that's watching. That's all we have time for today's seminar, and then I'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much, George.
Thank you.
No worries.